trouble breaking out at Subaru Park with the Philadelphia Union as we were preparing to talk about the international break, the call-ups, media day. Well, there's been some breaking news coming out. Captain Bedoya's future with the Union very much coming to a close end. Welcome to PHLY Union Podcast. JP Zapata, Renee Washington, Andrew Frazier bringing you the latest here on our show because as we've been watching all the news unfold around Kai Wagner, as if that wasn't enough drama happening in Subaru Park, we'll add to it because there's been some more going on. Now, to paint the picture for you, the Union have been dealing with key injuries. They've tied 6 of their last 8 games since August 30th. We've already been having players like Andre Blake come out talking about the physical and mental fatigue around playing so many games and the wear and tear. They're looking to close out the regular season with their final regular season game next Saturday on the 21st, and they're still hoping for a deep playoff run. And as if all that's not enough, they've got players away for the international break. A number of them, congrats, that got the international call-ups. Yeah. And let's sprinkle in a little bit more because in about a 20-second conversation, all those things that they've been working towards, thrown out the window because now we're all focused on ALLCITY Bedoya's news. Welcome those of you that are in the chat. Wow, JP. Wow. I wasn't expecting this. It's Friday the 13th. A lot of crazy, spooky things happen on Friday the 13th, but I did not expect us to be here.
Yeah, no, well, thank you everyone for tuning on in. I'm glad to be back. I'm glad that we're all back here. But who said the Union didn't have any drama, right? You know, everyone's pointing the Sixers, Flyers. No, the Union got themselves some drama. Un poco picante acá. But listen, we're going to talk about it. It does not look good. I mean, like flat out, this does not look good heading into the playoffs. You mentioned it, the fatigue issue. Now we got Kai, we got Allie. What's this team going to look like? Gleza stepping up for his captain as well. It's not a good look right now. But, you know, adversity always hits this team. And right now, Renee, we're going to find out how they respond to all this.
Yes. Now, as you're asking, Barbara, welcome in. Will, Barbara, anybody else joining in, hit that the like button, add some comments, join the conversation. Yes. We are nearing the start of the MLS playoffs. The final games are happening the week of October 21st is that weekend we'll have them. Then we've got October 25th is when playoffs are expected to be getting started with wild card matches. And there's going to be the round 1 best of 3 series. It goes on from there. We've got conference semis. It's just a unique playoff schedule this year. But the new format was something we were all looking forward to. Now I don't know that I'm looking forward to this new format because I'm very nervous what the playoffs will bring for the Philadelphia Union. This is a team, as we know, coming off of last year's MLS Cup run that we were so excited about coming into this season. And now decision day on October 21st across the league, everybody's going to be playing their finales. We were all looking forward to seeing the Union hold on to a top spot in the East, finish out with hopefully a victory. That's the storylines we were focused on. But now as we're getting ready for the playoffs, so many more things. So for anybody that's not sure about the playoff format, again, October 25th and 26th, wild card matches. Then you've got the round 1 best of 3 series matches from the 28th to November 12th. And then conference semifinals and conference finals November 25th to December 3rd. And this year, the MLS Cup, not until December 9th because of the delay of the start of the season and a lot of things being pushed back around World Cup last year and things like that. So we're in for what could be a long stretch. But now this stretch just feels that much longer with the news that ALLCITY Bedoya's time with the Union is coming to an end.
That is definitely disappointing. When we got the news, it was after the fact that we had the fantasy media camp. So like, I'm already like feeling good. Like, you know, I just had a good time hanging out with a bunch of other Union media members. And then you get this news and I'm like, this is a joke, right? But obviously it was not. But look, the fact is here, when you look at Ali's year this year, I mean, he hasn't been able to finish a full match for 90 minutes. He is getting a little bit older. And Renee, the thought was before the season, this was going to be Ali's final year. I thought we were all on the same page. Personally, it hurts. Everyone knows my love for Ali, another fellow Colombiano American, so that definitely hurts as well. He's the captain. He represents Philadelphia in the proper way. But at the end of the day, we all have to remember that this is a business. And unfortunately, if you look at the situation here for the Union, why would you bring him back for another year when he can't finish a year? I understand the veteran leadership, but this is what teams do. And these are the hard decisions that championship caliber teams have to ask themselves every year. Does a player like Alejandro Bedoya, at the age that he's at, is it worth bringing him back when you can find some depth in the midfield that could help you out for that span of the season? It's a difficult decision. I personally am not a big fan of how it was handled per se, but that's how Ernst is a cool man. Listen, Ernst is a man of few words, but he gets the job done. He means business. And for right now, Ernst is just does not see Allie in his future, in this future of this team. How do you feel about that?
I hate it. There's several layers to this that I'm struggling with. Mm-hmm. So the first part about it, and I'm just going to unpack ALLCITY Bedoya a little bit more.
Okay.
ALLCITY Bedoya has been such a big part of this team.
Yes.
A captain, a leader, 36 years old. We saw Ali sign a 1-year contract last year, and we all were wondering what that meant for the future for ALLCITY Bedoya and for the Union. Now, ALLCITY Bedoya also is a guy that has been very, very involved in things on and off the pitch.
Yes.
He's been, actively talking about, especially this past summer even, the fact that the MLS needs to raise the salary cap, and was saying in that, it will provide more opportunities for the league to grow, and it'll, loosening up those salary cap restrictions would go such a long way and help the league grow, even leading up to the World Cup. He's been talking about it. So he's been actively one of the ones that advocates for not just the Union, but for the league as a whole to take strides.
Okay.
But the Union have also reached the playoffs in 7 of Ali's 8 seasons with the team. They've already, of course, clinched for this season. He also has played in 35 of the 47 games so far this season, as we do know, has had injuries, was out for, a number of games, including a 5-game stretch that he suffered in spring with a hamstring injury. He's missed games. He's made a lot of people love the Union because of just the fact that he's continuously been the guy. He's the face of the team. Yeah. He always is saying the right things. He rallies the troops. He's the locker room guy. So I think my first issue is just the way it was done. It was broken. And shout out to Pablo Iglesias Marar, and Tom Bogert, who originally broke the story, and just sharing that it was a quick conversation about Ali being released. And about a 20-second conversation is kind of in passing that you tell your captain, your leader, your veteran that he's no longer going to be on the team. I mean, that's I think my biggest issue is where it starts. That Ali found out he's not in the team's plans and is set to depart this winter when his contract ends in a quick conversation. I know for anybody that follows anything around other sports, such as like Drew Holiday finding out with the Bucks, we've heard so many players over the years that have come out and said, it's not right what this team did to me. Because yes, we understand it's a business at the end of the day. We fully get that. Money talks. It's all about figuring out in terms of contracts, what makes sense with the salary cap. But these are still people. These are still families. These are still guys that have spent, in Ali's case, 8 seasons with your club. And he deserved better. Yeah. And that's where it's frustrating, because before you even get to the frustrating of the actual words, it's the frustration of how it was delivered. The message itself sucked, but the messenger, the way it was delivered, is also terrible. It's a bad look for your club when you're telling your captain this, because you know what it tells the rest of the guys? If they can do this to Ali, what can they do to me? Like, if you have the ability to tell him, oh, hey, JP, that's it. We're not going to have you back next year. Yeah. What does that mean for everybody else? The guys that are, clawing to try to solidify starting roles and be a big part of this club, that even your veteran, your captain, your leader can be told in a 20, 30-second conversation, you're out of here. At this point of the season, no less, when you still have games left to play.
Yeah, I find it weird. Like, there was not even a negotiation. Like, there wasn't even like, well, what do you want? Like, there was none of that.
None of that.
And that was crazy. Like, just for an example, like, imagine, if the Birds back in 09, midway through the season, tell 08, tell Dawkins, like, you're gone in like the matter of 20 seconds. This city would have burned to the ground. And Ali's just, to me, he's one of those guys. I put him in that type of Mount Rushmore when it comes to Philly leaders and Philly goats. He's that guy. He was truly, like, besides Seba, he was the true face, because you think about it. Ali's him and Blake are the face of the golden era of Union soccer.
Yes.
And I love that you pointed out what he did off the pitch, because that's so important as well. You mentioned the salary cap, but also his stance for gun violence. His stance for what transpired with the CBA a couple years ago. These players were flying economy, going cross country, and Ali stepped up and made his voice heard. And that is a leader. Look, I understand the business aspect of it, but there's also a principle, all right? And for a guy like Alejandro Bedoya, that's not how you treat that type of player. And yes, the thing is that like we've gotten rid of players like Casper Shabilko and Jamiro Montero, but this is Alejandro Bedoya. Like this isn't those players. You don't treat them in the same way. Like there needs to be a little bit more respect for Allie. And, you know, that's Ernst's prerogative, I guess, right now.
Well, like you're saying, Barbara and Eugene, definitely need Howie. Need to clone Howie. Howie needs to help work on the salary cap because Howie's the only one that seems to find a way. You know, you look at someone like Fletcher Cox and the different names, Jason Kelsey and Lane Johnson, the different salaries of veterans that have been able to be worked through where they bring them back and find a way to bring them back. You've got to find a way to, at the very least, respect your leaders.
I think we need Jeffrey, not Howie.
Yeah,
Jeffrey's
true. Oh, I'm
pockets.
sorry. I'm thinking of Jeffrey. But Howie, too, actually. But listen, as you're talking about, it is an issue with the fact that there was no negotiation. You know, Ali Bedoya makes over $1 million. I know we've talked about the contracts on here before. So maybe you come back to him and say, listen, we really love what you've brought to this team. We want to keep you a part of this team. Financially, we're not sure we can give you the same contract next year, but we're willing to work with you and figure out there's a way that it makes sense for us all.
Yeah.
And then maybe he still says, you know, I'm going to walk, I deserve more, whatever, or maybe something changes. But to just tell him in a quick in passing, like I think of those in passing conversations like, hey, how are you? Good, how are you? And you're done. Or, hey, have a good weekend. Thanks, you too. Hey, you're not coming back next year. Okay, cool. Like, you can't just have these quick and passing conversations of like, by the way, thanks for the 8 seasons, but we're not bringing you back this winter. Good luck. And it's ridiculously disrespectful.
Mike's ivy to the roof.
But that's literally what happened. I mean, it was not a sit down. Like, again, I was not there, obviously, so I don't know fully. But from what reports have said and what's come out is it doesn't seem like it was done properly. I think this is something you bring them in, you carve out time to be able to talk it through. You give them, you paint a picture of respect with it, of, you know, what you're saying and things like that. But to just kind of say thanks, goodbye, thank you, next. I mean, what is this? What are we singing, Ariana Grande here? Like, what's happening? This is your captain. This is your leader. And Ali Bedoya, as you talk about, not only a leader for the union, but for the MLS, also being a huge advocate for diversity in sport, expanding into Spanish-speaking communities, making sure that everyone's getting the right transportation and travel for games, the right salaries. He has literally advocated for players on and off the pitch in every aspect of what a professional athlete deserves. Yeah. And then he doesn't get what he deserves. It's the ultimate slap in the face. And by no surprise, his teammates are not happy about it. Now, I'm sure there are more guys that are unhappy about it. But the one person, and Ali, when he was on our show, we had him here on PHLY Union Podcast earlier, and he was talking about this closeness with some of his players. One of his players he's very close with, Jacob Glesnes, and the defensive player of the year and another leader of this squad came out and did post to his Instagram story. JP, I know you were the first one to see it. Yeah. Posted this to his Instagram story. So as if we're not nervous enough, Trouble in Paradise takes it up a notch when you see what Jacob posted, JP.
Yeah, well, first off, I do want to give a shout out to my guys over at Philly Sports Center for bringing this to my attention, but this was not a good look whatsoever. So a little context here. So Ali and Jakob are pretty close because Ali's wife is Norwegian.
Yes.
And Jakob is also Norwegian, and so they connected on that front. I do believe Ali's pretty fluent in the tongue of Norway. I'm not exactly sure what they do speak, but he's pretty fluent. And so that's kind of ways that they have connected. Listen, Ali's the leader, and this comes to me as no surprise, but yes, it does not add anything positive to the situation. And so this was posted on Jakob's story. Obviously, Jakob's in full support of his Capitan, which he should be. But no, this does not bode well whatsoever. And I'm sure a majority of that dressing room right now is feeling the same way as Jakob because, listen, I don't know if anyone has seen those huddles before the big playoff matches that the Union put out. By the way, shouts to the Union social media team. But like those like huddles of watching Ali getting the guys up, like I'm ready to run through the wall. And those guys feel the same way. And that's kind of what you're going to miss. So in turn, it's probably the move that the Union have to make. But there's always a way to handle it. And the way that Ernst and the Union handled it is incorrect.
Yeah, and like Lessons was saying on his Instagram story, for those listening on podcast platforms, look what he has done for this club over the last 7.5 years. Great player, great teammate, and a great leader. A true leader that should end his career for this club and in all caps, nowhere else. Give this man the respect he deserves and tagged at PHLY Union. You know, exactly like you're saying, Barbara, is what we're talking about. Not good for team spirit heading into the playoffs. Yeah. I know that's something we were talking about before the show with our producer, Andrew, is not only was this the wrong way to do things, but it's the wrong time to do things like this. Because do we need to have this conversation right now? You know, maybe you tease it out and let them know, like, we're going to have some hard conversations. But even that, he's supposed to now get on the field and play. His teammates are not supposed to get on the field and rally around in what's his final days with the Union. It's just an awful timing to do this with a team, as we talked about, and as we've talked about on this show many times and everyone knows, has struggled to just win games. Yeah. 6 of their last 8 games have been ties. Yeah. They've been down, they've been up, they've blown leads. It's been a little bit of everything. They've had a ton of injuries, especially in the midfield role. And the one guy that has been out there, even if he can't finish a game, out there giving it his all, your captain, your leader, at this point in the season, it's like putting salt on a wound. Like, there's already so much chaos, it feels like, that's happening with the Union. And this break honestly felt like a time. Celebrate the people that got the international call-ups. Yes. Allow players to get some rest, to regroup, to finish out this final regular season finale with a win and go into the playoffs with some momentum. And instead, we're going into decision day for the MLS. If you don't know, they call it decision day because everybody's playing at the same time, and it's the final game of the regular season. And now going into decision day, which already has enough pressure, you're now in the back of your mind thinking, if you're Ali, my days are numbered. If you're his teammates, well, who's next? Who else could they do that to? Can they do that to me? What's my future going to be like here? Am I going to get the same conversation? It now leaves everybody wondering things, and we shouldn't have these thoughts in the back of your mind. It's like the insecurity of, like, you watch somebody else trip and fall and trip over something, and it's like, oh, shoot, I got to walk the same path. Am I going to fall too? Like, you're nervous because you watched Ali do it. I think it's not like we're talking about. It's real. It wouldn't be any better, regardless which player this happened to, but to do it to one of the faces of the club, like you talk about. You wouldn't see this for any other big name player across Philly. To do this to the face of your club, it makes you wonder who's next.
Who's to say they don't do it to Blake?
Exactly.
A goalkeeper of the year, 3 times now? What it feels like, Renee, is like there's a little bit of a division going on because it feels like now you got guys in that dressing room supporting the players, and these players obviously seem upset with the front office. And that's not a situation that you do want. I personally believe that this may bode well because now it's literally like the last dance, right? It's not, I don't want to compare anything to Michael Jordan and the Bulls, but it's like, this is our last chance. These are a group of brothers. Let's go out there. Let's give it our all. Let's see what we can do in these playoffs. We were so close last year of hoisting a trophy. I'm hoping that's what's going to happen. But no, I do feel that division within that dressing room, and that's not what you want whatsoever.
Yeah, PR definitely took a hit for sure, Barbara. And honestly, JP, I would have rather them said it that way that you just did. Sounds like they could have taken a page out of your book because that would have sounded much better of, like, we unfortunately at this time are having some tough conversations. We don't know if this team as a whole is going to be back together next year. So let's do it together. Let's rally around and try to win the MLS Cup. And then it also is harder because it comes just 24 hours or so after Ali Bedoya went to Twitter and was posting about him and his kids.
I know.
Ali has told us very much on the show, and I've talked to Ali many times, which is why this also hurts, because I know him personally as a friend, and you can say the same. And he speaks so highly of his kids and how he's so happy to be able to, like, be involved and take them to school in the morning and pick them up from school. I mean, every athlete feels these same things. But to see Ali Bedoya take to Twitter, I know we have a screenshot that we can show you of this post. He posted on Twitter on October 11th. Here we are on Friday the 13th. So in 48 hours, he went from this moment of jubilation and excitement to now us talking about him being out the door. I've always envisioned walking out with my kids one day, and I was able to live out this moment this past weekend. Another lifelong memory shared together. And as you see, it's Ali there with his 2 kids. He's got a boy and a girl. He said his daughter runs the house, by the way, if anybody's wondering. Yes, she does run the house. She's for sure the queen of the household. But he's walking out there with his kids. They're standing alongside him during the introductions and national anthem. These are moments that we as fans and for the Union should be rallying around and excited about. But instead, we're having to have these hard conversations. Now, the quick moment to just take a step back here because there are more games coming up and you can check out those games in the Game Time app. Now, whether it's going to support the Union or somebody else, the Game Time app is the place to do it. You can use that code PHLY, get $20 off of your purchase to be able to buy tickets at the Game Time app. I've got it on my phone, easy to download, easy to find game tickets too. So you can go check out any of your favorite teams or entertainment events, whatever it is. Go support the Union at the Game Time app. So as we're supporting ALLCITY Bedoya, though, as we're excited about ALLCITY Bedoya having that moment as kids, then 24 hours later, we all took a hit. We're all sitting here wondering, holy crap, how did we get from there to here? As you talk about, you're at Media Day. I didn't get a chance to go to Media Day, but we did get some cool swag and merch from the Union. And everything's exciting. Everyone's down at Subaru Park on the practice field, and the media had a chance to go through a whole practice. You know, we had a number of folks, JP one of them, that had a chance to go down and train like a pro for a day, and then all of a sudden, here we come. It's a sneak attack, Barba. It definitely feels like it. It felt like a sneak attack, and
literally,
now we're scratching our heads.
Yeah, no, literally. And I'm curious because I'm looking at that graphic, right? So Kai also was able to walk out with his kid. So I wonder if like something was known during that Nashville match.
Ooh.
Because that was very interesting. But no, it was definitely a beautiful scene. Kind of where I want to take this now, though, Renee. Bigger picture here, right? So I want to look at Ernst because Ernst now is after years of great roster construction, so much success. Now you kind of look at the 2023 year. So the offseason last year was not the best as we've seen, right?
Right.
He didn't supplement this team the way they needed to, right? So now you look in the season, some of the drama with Kai, the drama with Ali. Now you're heading into the playoffs. This does not look good. I'm not gonna lie to you. I've seen it throughout social media. Some fans are questioning Ernst Tanner, and honestly, like it is honestly pretty deserving. Now I'm gonna wait to see what happens in the offseason. But the way he handled the offseason last year, now he's handling two, honestly, legendary Union players, we can say, with Ali and Kai Wagner. It is not a good look, and Ernst is going to have to knock it out the park this offseason, and we'll see how he does that. But this is not good.
Not good at all, because I think it goes back to what we talked about in our show on Tuesday. It feels like, for whatever reason, the Union are not big on paying and keeping their veterans. And that's not the mantra and the team identity that you want to have, that you're going to be a team that focuses on homegrowns, brings players up to the academy, and then when they reach a certain age and and a certain level of pay that they deserve, you get rid of them. I mean, I know ALLCITY Bedoya, sadly enough, was one of the ones telling us that the team is notoriously one of the cheaper teams in clubs across the league. They don't want to pay guys. Here we are, not want to pay guys. Kai Wagner, we've been talking about him all the last few months. Now ALLCITY Bedoya in that mix. And as you talk about, is Andre Blake next? Is Glesnes next? Is Jack Elliott next? It makes you wonder who else, when you look at the veterans, are they going to struggle to keep? Because yes, we love the homegrowns and the storylines that come with that, but you have to have a balance of the two. You cannot be a top club in this league and your entire team, is built around bringing in 20 and 21-year-olds. Yeah. You know, you need to have a mixture of international players, homegrowns, veterans, players you can pay to maybe bring in from other clubs. You take a look at Inter Miami, for example, with Messi. Yeah, we all were paying attention when that went down. But that's a major deal to be able to bring in Messi and pay him, and now other guys come along with him. So for the Union, when's the last time they've had a big acquisition like that? I know we were talking about it. Again, our producer Andrew was even asking, like, is this possibly a way to make some space to bring in a big name? But that has not been the Philly way. Now, as you talk about, Barbara, we definitely take care of our own much better than what the Union are doing. We don't do that to our Philly players and just kicking them to the curb. But unfortunately for the Union, it feels like it's not their way either of making space to bring in a veteran. It's making space to bring in the younger players that you don't have to pay as much. Yeah, I mean, I hate it. It just reminds me so much of what we see in corporate America. I know I've talked about it many times on here, but I hate that mentality of, instead of paying a veteran what they deserve, you're going to instead bring in a homegrown who you can pay for less. Maybe they have a little less miles on the tank, and you can get them to play more games, even though they might not be as mature, I'll say.
Gotcha. Yeah, no, absolutely. The way I kind of look at it, I think the Union have spent money smartly. Because, like, if you look at some of the other teams, you look at the big spenders, your Chicago's, your Atlanta, your Miami's. Well, those guys may or haven't, may or are not going to make the playoffs this year. So it's all about how you spend it. My stance has always been this team has a core, and they've kept it up until now, right? But with that core, you build it around with quality players, and that's where I think they need to spend more money. And obviously, we're waiting to hear about some of these roster restrictions being lifted this upcoming offseason, which will be big for the league as a whole. But, Jay, you need to spend more money on this team. You see what Miami's doing. You see what these other teams are doing. Miami, you best believe they're going to be in the picture as one of the best teams in the Eastern Conference, and they're going to dish out dough for it as well. So if you're going to get rid of Allie, if you're going to get rid of Kai, I will deal with it. I will move on and I will deal with it. But what I can't deal with is another offseason where I have guys like Joaquin Torres or a guy like Andres Pereira who is not going to help us out. Ernst has found diamonds in the rough throughout this world, which is great. But give Ernst some more money to play with here. And that's kind of where I'm at. Build the core and build quality around it. If you want to go with the homegrowns, great. But if that's not the answer, you need to spend the money to find the answer until that kid can figure it out. And this is where the Union need to figure that out because we were so close last year. We were that close. Yeah,
and we have seen, you talk about the financial side, spending money wisely. We have seen the Union do a good job of finding the diamond in the rough or developing a player, whatever it is. But it's also not the worst thing if you do like the Phillies did and bring in a Bryce Harper as a free agent, when you can bring in a heavy hitter. Well, let's quickly talk about things at the ballpark because things are heating up at the ballpark. Every team is planning to finish the season strong. And that means trying to get to the World Series. Now, for the Phillies, they punched their ticket to the NLCS, getting one step closer. And been exciting for us on our Philly show. But with DraftKings Sportsbook, you won't miss a moment of baseball action. New customers can score Whoa, I wish $2,000, but it's only $200. $200 instantly in bonus bets for betting, just $5 in baseball. What are you waiting for? Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use that code PHLY that's on your screen. And new customers, again, can score $200 instantly in bonus bets for betting just $5 on baseball. That's the way to spend your money wisely. If you've got a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.1800gambler.net. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. In Connecticut, help is available for problems gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort, licensee partner Golden Nugget Lake Charles, got to be 21 or older. Age does vary by jurisdiction, void in Ontario. And see dkng.co/baseball for eligibility terms and responsible gaming resources. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. Eligibility and deposit restrictions apply. So the Union, as we talk about spending money wisely, have struggled to figure out how to spend their money wisely. Real quickly, if you guys are looking to spend some money wisely, you can also, one more quick plug, check out our Attaboy Harper shirt. I was just talking about Bryce Harper, so why not talk about our shirts that we dropped at PHLY in honor of Red October. Shout out to everybody who always joins our other PHLY shows, such as our Philly show, Eugene Krabs and Barbara Carroll. I'm looking at you, too, two of our big name people that are active in our shows.
That's both of you.
So, Eugene Krabs, you never spend money wisely. Well, this is a great chance to spend your money wisely. We've got our Attaboy Harper shirts. They've been in the bottom corner of the show the entire time. And with those, you're able to get either a powder blue or a white shirt. There they are for you.
Very nice.
You can head over to our PHLY website at allphly.com. We've got our locker room, which is where we are selling merch, and you can buy an Attaboy Harper shirt. So while we're talking about our Philly sports teams and the Union who are frustrating us right now, well, the Phillies are not frustrating us right now. So you can check out that Attaboy Harper shirt and rep a team that knows how to spend their money wisely and bring in good free agents. Union, take notes. Find the Bryce Harper that you can bring in the Philadelphia Union.
Get this shirt because best believe we will come up with some Union shirts, guys. So definitely just support the family. We really appreciate all the love and support. And one point on to Barbara, losing the good players. Look, I know the MLS is not there with Europe, right? But I look at clubs around the world like Borussia Dortmund or Atletico Madrid, where they are constantly changing players and constantly bringing in players that fit the system.
Yeah.
You need to have a system. That's a key part about it.
Yeah.
And this is where the Union needs to figure out how to supplement these type of players.
Yeah, and you're talking about Ale Bedoya and Kai Wagner. Makes us wonder who else is going to be lost too. Kai Wagner, just 26 years old, still very much in his prime. Okay, maybe Bedoya a little bit more where injuries he's been dealing with, has struggled to finish not only games but seasons. What about Kai Wagner? Best left back in the league, 26 years old, already has offers from AEK Athens. We know he's got other offers from other clubs internationally that are looking to bring him in. He has contributed 7 goals, 31 assists, and 168 combined appearances. He's been an All-Star twice in 2021 and 2022. He's been a Best 11 nomination in 2022. He was a finalist for MLS Defender of the Year in 2022. Yep. Oh, who got Defender of the Year, by the way?
Mr. Glesnes.
Mr. Glesnes. So he lost to his own teammate at that.
And Ellie was a finalist too, as well.
Exactly. So, I mean, you have the best outside back in the league, and you can't find a way to keep him. You have a top center midfielder, especially for this club. This club, we've talked about their midfield in general, lacking depth, having injuries. So to see these major pieces, it definitely makes you wonder, what are the Union thinking? What is the future plan? There's not a need for an overhaul or a rebuild by any stretch. It's making me wonder, what is the plan here?
No, Ernst genuinely needs to go back to square one. Like, go back to 2019, go back to 2020, go back to some of those markets and find those type of players. Our producer Andrew raised a good point. Like, is there a Premier League player? One thing I've always said, there are a bunch of players in these big Premier League, La Liga, Serie A, Bundesliga clubs that don't get minutes.
Yeah.
And instead of letting them rot there, come here and get your minutes and help a team win, even if it's like a loan type of deal. Like, I've always said that's the type of move I would love the Union to make, because there's so many kids like that in their early 20s who are just looking for playing time. That's definitely something that I would love for Ernst to kind of look at. But no, Ernst, I think the MLS market is great for depth, and unfortunately kind of swung and missed on some of those. But if you're looking to supplement this team, you need to go find some of those diamonds in the rough in those type of leagues. And we're talking about spending more money. Go into those top 4 leagues and find those diamonds in the rough that need those extra playing time. And that's my dream, and that's my hope, that Ernst can get to that to one point. But yeah, this obviously, I think Ernst is looking to get a little bit younger, obviously, especially at the left back position, especially at depth at midfield. I think more importantly, the depth in general is the big problem this year. Gazette, Carranza, and Ure, and obviously, the one thing you have to consider too, and I know that's probably why Kai's not going to come back, is that you have to find a Julian Carranza replacement once he does go. And unfortunately, the Union are really good at developing midfielders and defenders and goalkeepers. One thing they're not really good at is developing those forward positions.
Or keeping them.
or keeping them. So you got to dish the money out for the forward players. And I think that's what they're going to look at.
Yeah, it's a great point. It's definitely something to keep an eye on, because with these major things, you got to wonder what's coming next. I don't mind you making a move. Kai Wagner, Ale Bedoya aren't coming back if that means you have a plan. And I'd like to be wrong. I'd like to be wrong, and that's you guys have something masterfully drawn up that we just haven't seen the full picture of yet.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, first off, I just want to take a quick second, because I absolutely love Renee's fleece here with the turtleneck. And guys, look, I'll be honest with you. I have been eating some new Philly sports gear because it is wintertime. So I'm going to go to FOCO, and you guys should as well, because FOCO is the leading manufacturer of sports and entertainment merchandise, with a product line that includes apparel, accessories, toys, collectible, novelty items, and more. I'm going to be looking for some beanies. I'm going to be looking for some hoodies. But you guys definitely look for what you're looking for in your closet or in your man cave or women cave, whatever you want, whatever you guys have over there. And of course, right now, when you use our promo code PHLY, you can get 10% off. This is only on non-presale items. So guys, head on over to FOCO, get your merchandise, let them know that PHLY sent you. And thank you to FOCO for being our lovely sponsor.
Yes. Well, as we're wrapping up here, excuse me, definitely this weekend, it is Friday the 13th. Enjoy your horror movies. Unfortunately, this spooky news is real news. But JP, what are your final thoughts as we are getting ready to wrap up?
Oh, man. Definitely, everyone, make sure to stay inside, because obviously Friday the 13th is here with, even with our own Union. We're obviously, I think everyone should give a round of applause to Renee, who's been grinding this week. Obviously, the Phillies have been crazy.
Thank you.
And of course, the Union, where we still got to keep up with that. But no, it's gonna be a fun weekend. What do you play? Well, obviously you got NWSL this weekend.
Yeah, it's decision day for the NWSL,
Yes.
so I'll be a part of that, which is fun. But also, it's a great chance to break out some horror movies, watch some nice Freddy versus Jason or whatever
What's your
it
favorite?
is. I actually don't have one. I love every horror movie for the most part.
Same way.
Yeah, I'm a horror movie person for sure. I might not watch all of it. I might have some of it through the eyes, but I definitely love watching some good old horror movies. Eugene, they do not make Union mankinis, but they do make some other cool stuff. Rally House was a great spot and has been a good spot to get stuff, Barbara, but you can also go to FOCO.
Yeah, check it out for sure.
So we have lots to keep an eye on. We do have more to talk about this upcoming week because I'm sure, and I'm sure we both can agree, this weekend might bring some craziness. I think Jacob Glesnes might be just the first that we're going to hear coming out of, all the players that are saying something. But I imagine that we're going to have some more players coming forward, voicing their frustration, voicing how, something behind the scenes. So we're going to stay plugged into what's going on with the Philadelphia Union to see just exactly how this unfolds. Next week, we've got to get into more around the international call-ups and the international break and just more things to talk about here on PHLY Union Podcast. Barbara, thank you. I love you too. You're one of my favorites also. Love to have you here. And we love having all of you here. Make sure you're subscribing, you're liking, you're following, you're keeping up to date with what we've got going on in our Union coverage at PHLY_Union and at PHLY Sports across everything. More new episodes coming your way soon. Have a great Friday the 13th. For JP, Andrew, myself, Renee, have a great weekend. We'll see you back for more next week. We all silly like the